Recording in progress.
Morning, Chi. Can you hear me?
Yes, Chair. Good morning. I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, Honorable Kumalo.
Morning, Chair. How are you?
I'm good, Mama Unjanwana.
I'm good.
Honorable Makasi, good morning.
Molo sihlalo kunjani?
Ndiyaphila sisi enkosi. Right now?
Hayi ndimqabaqaba Chair inkosi.
Okay. Honorable Pitch, good morning. Come back. Udlamini. Honorable Mkize, good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson.
Just want to check if Honorable Manaka, good morning. Honorable Manaka, good morning. Okay, Honorable De Block, good morning.
Molo sisi wami unjani?
Ndiyaphila chawe unjani wena?
Ndiphilile.
Okay. Honorable Bilankulu.
Morning, Honorable. Morning, Honorable.
Yeah, good morning, Honorable Managa.
Morning. How are you? Don't you hear me, Chair?
I can hear you now.
Oh, yes. Morning. How are you?
I'm good, my dear. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Honorable Bilankulu. Okay. Honorable Mukwena.
We have an apology, Chair, from Honorable Mukwena.
Okay, I don't see Honorable Temba.
He's going to see the doctor. He will join later.
Oh, okay. We will
And
attend
Honorable
that.
Paulson.
Is he here? He's not here.
No, Chair.
No, we'll take that when we are on
Okay.
apologies.
All right.
Okay. Honorable members, I think we need to start with our meeting. The time now is 9:30. And in welcoming you in this meeting, honorable members, I just want to briefly reflect on a meeting that we had on the 10th of June, where we learned about the decisions of the North West Parks and Tourism Board and the Madikwe Game Reserve that resulted in the unsustainable elephant population in the park. This population density exposed the animals to distress, starvation, and death, which is not in line with the 5 animal freedoms, the Animal Protection Act of 1962, and the National Environmental Management Biodiversity Act of 2004. Another concerning development has been the vague undertakings that lack details and timelines, including the work of the task team. This is why today's meeting was called as a build-up on the reports and plans that were supposed to be sent to the Portfolio Committee, as per the committee's resolution, and to cover matters related to environmental management inspectors. The invitation specified that these are the focus areas of North West Provincial Department of Economic Development, Conservation and Tourism, the North West Parks Tourism Board, and Madikwe Reserve, Madikwe Game Reserve. The portfolio committee allowed sufficient time to the leadership for written responses in June. But we have picked up that when they were responding, they only responded, they only sent a small number of responses to the committee last week. For example, inclusion of NSPCA, submission of the provincial task team's responses to NSPCA presentation, site visit report, proposed population management plan, or interventions with clear timelines and information on environmental management inspectors. They are outstanding on the report and are not included in the sent presentation. Minister George is party to these issues as well as empowered by the National Environmental Management Act as well as NEMBA. Unfortunately, I have not learned that the minister and his deputies and Director General will not make it. Sorry, honorable members. Something is disturbing me. I have learned, honorable members, that Minister George and the deputy ministers and the DG, they will not make it to this meeting due to the cabinet engagements. Now we have a situation. When I went through the report, I've picked up those issues, and now we have this situation of the presentation that is not covering what is required by this portfolio committee. Whilst the details of the invitations were very clear, and I will seek the guidance of the honorable members on how do we proceed on this agenda item relating to Madikwe and environmental management inspectors. So I will then, honorable members, with those few remarks, let me welcome all of you in the meeting. And Chi, can you fly to the agenda? Okay. Chi, can you share with us if there's any apologies?
Yes, Chair, I received apologies from the Minister,
Yes.
Honorable George, Deputy Minister Singh, Deputy Minister Swartz, the DG, Ms. Shabalala, Honorable Mukwena, Honorable Temba, and Honorable Paulson. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay, then can I then get a mover for the adoption of the apologies and the agenda as reflected? Honorable Makasi, I see your hand. And
Chairperson, thank you very much. I note the apologies read by Kilega. On the issue of the adoption of the agenda, I, however, have a concern in your opening remarks when you were indicating that the report you received and what you've picked up as a concern in terms of what is not on the report and what we expect to get today, since we had a meeting and we had questions asked, and we expect those to be incorporated into the report which is absent. Now I'm now having a proposal that we do not table the first item, which is a follow-up on the Madikwe Reserve issues, because it will be, for me, a repetition of what we did on the meeting, as you mentioned. And if they were given so much time to respond to that, I'm not sure whether they have been written to and asked whether they are aware of those parts that have not responded to, because we can't be seen as if we are wasting our time in these meetings. And when such issues were raised, there is no response to, and we give those that are supposed to give us responses time to then respond in writing, and they don't do that. I am raising this because we did have a similar incident with the department, with the Johannesburg municipality, where we were not even sure whether we did give them the questions or not, and we had to return them or refer them back so that they can respond to our questions and allowed them in our meeting to respond. So this is the situation that we face again, and I am requesting the indulgence of the portfolio committee that what we requested in the questions we've asked and what we requested to have been answered to should be answered to the latter before we allow them to again present to us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. That is the proposal, honorable members, from Honorable Makasi before we adopt the apologies and the agenda. Honorable Kumalo, I see your hand is up.
Chairperson, thank you very much. Greetings to all honorable members that are on the platform and also our officials that are with us in this meeting. Chair, I want to second Honorable Makasi on the proposal that we jump item number 1 that is in the agenda so that we can get the full report as requested to Northwest. So I really second, Chairperson, that can we get the report on time so that we can have enough time to study it and to familiarize ourselves with it. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Honorable Tiplok, I see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, colleagues and others online. Chair, I appreciate what Honorable Makasi and Honorable Kumalo are saying, but we have the officials here in front of us to account. I'm also concerned with the report and the fact that it doesn't deal with most, if not all, of your directives that you issued as chairperson of this committee. But they have submitted a report, and I would suggest that we let them give the report and then we use our question time to get answers on the outstanding questions. I think if we wait for another written report, given the track record of this entity, who knows if we'll get a report, never mind when. I think we should push ahead and hold them to account, as is our constitutional obligation, Chair. Thank you.
Honorable Tiplok, I am noting your counter proposal, but honorable members, I just want to take a decision. Honorable members, I'm going to make a ruling on this one. We are going to give them a timeline or a due date where they will have to respond to us, because honestly this will not make justice for us to allow them to present what is short to the portfolio committee, and also members won't have enough time to raise the issues that they have raised before, and we might not even get the responses that we will be looking for, seeing that even their report does not cover what, as the portfolio committee, we have been looking for. So I will request, honorable members, humbly request to you that we allow them to leave the meeting. We will then give them next week, Tuesday, so that they can come back and respond to us. By Friday, we want the report, the fully detailed report, to be sent to us as the portfolio committee. Then by Tuesday, we will squeeze them in our program. They will be the first ones to present to us, honorable members. Please, with your respect, let us just release them so that they don't do that presentation that is short to us. We want them to come and present the full detail report that we are requiring as this portfolio committee.
Chair, can I please come in?
Yes, Chilega.
Parliament is rising next week, so this is our last week. We don't have meetings next week.
Okay. Then we will have to squeeze them this week, Chilega.
Okay,
We'll
Chair.
have to look into this and squeeze them this week.
Okay,
Because
thanks,
it
Chair.
is there. I see the hand of the NEC. Oh, it is gone now. Honorable Diplock, is it a legacy hand?
No, Chair. You've registered my counter proposal, which I appreciate, but I have a second counter proposal given your ruling there. The report that was given to us was by DEDECT and North West Parks and Tourism Board, but for me that shouldn't rule out the presentations by the MEC and by the NSPCA, who we haven't received content from. I think they're doing verbal presentations, so perhaps we should at least hear those presentations out. Perhaps the MEC will speak to the issue of the EMIs, for instance, and we might get some resolution, if not all. Thank you.
Honorable Managa, I see your hand.
Chairperson,
Yes.
do you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to come to the proposal that we have just made a few seconds ago. That if maybe it can be possible, and we're not getting any slot in by any chance, now I would suggest we have a meeting maybe later in the evening. Like we start our meetings at we start the meeting at 18 hours, provided we have all the documentation that we need.
Noted, Honorable Managa. Can I request, honorable members, that we meet on Thursday? Please. Can I make that request that we meet on Thursday? Honorable Mkize, I see your hand. Honorable Managa, is there like a hand, or you want to say
I would
something?
like to.
Okay, Honorable Mkize.
I would like to second you, Chairperson, that we meet on Thursday.
Okay.
We'll need a full report.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Mkize. Honorable Kuman.
Now I'm covered, Chairperson, by Honorable Kizi.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Honorable Managa, is that a legacy hand?
I'm covered by Honorable Mkize also. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The team, a team of our portfolio committee will work on that. We will schedule the meeting for Thursday. All other details will be sent to our portfolio committee group. We are now going to release MEC and the NSPCA. They are now released. We are going to take this item off. Then we will go to our item number 3. We will communicate with Northwest through our secretary about the times and all that is required from them. Thank you. Can we then go back to the adoption of our apologies and agenda? Now that our agenda has been changed. Honorable Makas, I see your hand, and Honorable Managa.
Thank you, Chair. In that session that we have agreed now to prioritize this item number 2 to Thursday, I therefore adopt the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Makas. Honorable Managa.
Thank you so much. I second the mover of the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you, Honorable Managa. I take that, Honorable Kumalo, you also wanted to second. You are covered by Honorable Managa.
Yes, Chair, thank you.
Can we then move to item number 3? Northwest, you are released. Chi, Nhlanhla?
Yes, Chair.
Is it
We're
Nhlanhla
going
who's
to
going to
flight
do
now.
the
Yeah,
presentation?
let's go to
Okay.
flight, Chair. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, members.
Morning, Nhlanhla.
Apologies for that. We'll behave. Host, please allow me to share. Oh, it's now
You are
here.
the
All right.
co-host, sir.
Okay, looks like there was a delay. Please confirm when you see the
Yes, we can see the presentation, Nhlanhla.
Okay. Maybe, Chair, before we proceed on this one, just one small thing, because on the previous agenda item, I think maybe we'll just update this one on our communication with them. Is just on the due date, because the written report was in the initial agreement was that the report should be submitted by Friday, on the thought that Tuesday will be the meeting day. So now that Thursday is the meeting day, just for formality purpose, that there be that additional amendment to the due date, which was to be on Friday. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, that is my small suggestion, maybe before we go to this, so that it's on record, so that we don't have a situation where the report is submitted on Friday while the meeting is sitting on Thursday.
Okay, so you're proposing that we make an amendment?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
So
Members?
then I will come back to this.
Okay.
Chair,
Yes.
can I request Nhlanhla to repeat himself? I did not pick up everything that he said, but I just got the last part of a submission of a report on Friday, and we're having a meeting on Thursday.
Nhlanhla?
Okay. The original submission that was adopted was that the reports, the outstanding reports, will be submitted on this coming Friday, which is the 19th. So that was based on the thinking that next week will be a normal committee day, but because Parliament is rising, next week falls off as a meeting day. So given that there has been an amendment on the meeting day, which is now brought forward to this coming Thursday, it means that there needs to be an amendment to the due date, which is to be adopted because it was formally adopted, that is Friday. That amendment should bring forward the submission date instead of Friday to be slightly earlier, preferably before Thursday, if I'm making sense, Chair.
Oh, okay. So through you, Chair, I do hear what Nhlanhla is saying, and I think he should be also the one that advises the committee of when exactly is going to be a time or date that is permissible for us to then adopt and amend.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Marcus. Nhlanhla and Chi, can you advise the Portfolio Committee about the date?
There is there is only one day left, Chair, which is tomorrow. And given that these reports, or many of these reports that were referred to in the resolution already exist, it should not be a problem just to attach and send. So, yeah, I think maybe by midday tomorrow to allow members to go through them, maybe in the afternoon, will be a fair, even today. But I think the sooner the better, because it's not that they're going to be writing the reports. They were given ample time from June to develop draft management plans for the elephants. It's now September, which means by now there should be a draft in place. So a deadline that is either today or tomorrow should be okay.
Not Thursday.
I don't think Thursday. I think I'm basing my thinking on what they said, that the reports are there. So attaching and sending should actually be a less than 5 minute activity.
I'll follow up with them now and then update the committee. Let me call them.
Okay. Sandra, can we just proceed now? Then Kilega will, or should we wait for Kilega to call them and come back to us?
I think, Chair, maybe we can continue this side, then maybe during a break, when we transition to another activity, then if she can update the committee.
Yes, okay. Now it's fine then. Let's proceed then.
Chair,
Honorable Makasi.
just to be clear on what Ntanda is saying, that the requirement from his side and to follow procedure is for the report to be submitted, even if we then meet on Thursday to deal with the issue of the report that is submitted as we have agreed earlier. Is that what he's saying?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Chair.
Sandra, can you then proceed?
Honorable De Block has his hand up.
Oh, okay. I did not see. Apologies, Honorable De Block.
That's okay, Chairperson. I just put it up now. Ntandla has very good eyes. At the meeting on Thursday night, are we going to have the officials there to answer our questions after we've been able to look at this report?
Are we going to? Can you?
Are we going to have North West Parks and Tourism Board and the MEC there?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
I think that's important. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Sandra?
All right. I don't know they greeted, but let me greet again. Good morning, honorable members. We are reconvening today to consider the draft that was revised after deliberations and suggested changes were made based on the 2-day strategic planning session that the committee had. Chairperson, there has not been major changes except for the ones focusing on the areas that were suggested for amendments for clarification. So I don't know whether you want me to go page by page, which will take quite a bit of time, or maybe we just table it as is to members, and then maybe where they pick up things that need attention, that we address that and it be tabled for adoption. Chair?
Let me take it to the members. Honorable members, would you require Nhlanhla to go page by page, or given the fact that we have received it and maybe members went through it, then you will just highlight the issues that you have picked up. Can I then get hands on how should we move with the report?
Chair, I'm back.
Honorable
Sorry to
Kumalo,
interrupt.
okay, noted, Chi, I'm going to give you after Honorable Kumalo. Honorable Kumalo.
Chairperson, I propose that we start at the presentation in item 6.1 up until 6.7.
Okay,
That's proposal.
okay. Answer. Noted that that is the proposal from Honorable Kumalo. Kilega,
Yes, Chair, feedback from the
quickly
North
before we move.
West. Yes, can you hear me? No, Chair, they won't be able to send the documentation today. They can try tomorrow so that we can incorporate their input into the strat plan. But we'll finalize the discussions with them after the meeting. But they've indicated that today they won't be able to.
Okay.
Thanks.
Noted. Sandra, over to you.
Okay. The situational analysis part has not significantly been changed, but basically it's more of a reflection of what has been and what is currently the state of affairs in the department as well as in the sector, and broadly also to the country at large, particularly on the economic performance and how that has a direct bearing on the budget allocation to the different functions of government, be it the national, provincial, or municipal allocations. And that against the background of the high levels of unemployment, poverty, and inequalities, and the potential that these sectors have to contribute towards job creation. So that's the part that relates to economic activities. And then we have other guiding documents that are informing the planning of Parliament as an institution, which are then cascaded down to the operations of the portfolio committee. For example, some of the decisions under the IPU strategy, or different strategies and resolutions of the Interparliamentary Union. So these ones affect this committee as well, including things that are specific to committees that are dealing with climate change or the environment portfolio in its broader sense that have been considered as part of this. An example of that are the committee projects, which the members discussed and agreed on that they need to be incorporated, and then it means that the officials of the committee will then have to work on them, with the first one to be implemented being a cleanup at Robben Island, but we'll deal with that one when we go to the part that deals with the annual performance plan. So on the forestry side, there is issues with the land cover of forests, that it has not been growing at the rate that was expected. And on the side of the state plantations, that they have not been managed following silvicultural practices, which prevents overgrowth and reduction of temporary unplanted areas. And there were also issues that were raised around the protections, the inspections, as well as the patrols that are required to protect the forestry sector or plantations. And there were also issues relating to the deteriorating infrastructure and some of the state plantations, Likely because of that neglect, these facilities have become crime hotspot. And on the other side, it's the escalating of frequency of timber theft, some of which is petty, but others is more of organized crime that is unfolding in parts of Mpumalanga, coupled with the ongoing illegal mining in those plantations there, which in other essence, they are increasing the operating cost because some private operators now have to include funds for protection of their plantations. So those are some of the prevailing challenges there, including the projects or programs relating to the revitalization or refurbishment of state nurseries that has been missed for consecutive years. And there is a part which I think was discussed at length, but I won't go into the details, but the gaps in terms of fire management, which are brought on by the two pieces of legislation, the Fire Brigade Services Act and the National Field and Forest Fire Act, that there is a need for this, particularly the implementation level, for harmonization of plans, including where possible these two pieces of legislation, so that it can capitalize the existing capacity and resources that can be linked with both the fire protection associations or municipalities to combat fire, as well as to prevent the losses associated with fires. Then it's the parts relating to climate change. On climate change and equality, there was an extensive discussion particularly on adaptation, that we as a country are experiencing more frequent and extreme weather events. And at a national level, while there are policies, and recently the Climate Change Act that has been passed, when you go down to municipal level, there is very little in terms of preparedness that is being rolled out to build resilience in those municipalities. Then there's the other aspect which deals with the high levels of pollution from likely from non-compliance with the Air Quality Act that is affecting the communities. There was also a discussion on the other side, the economic contributions by these sectors that are involved in high levels of pollution from Highveld right into Gauteng and parts of Limpopo. And those who specifically spoke to the issues that the committee needs to focus on in terms of oversight, one of which is the functionality of air quality monitoring stations and the enforcement, ensuring that there is enforcement of emission standards, while also not undermining the local economic or socio-economic development that relies on the sectors that are contributing to greenhouse gas emissions as well as air pollutants. So basically a balance in the just transition that is at a high level relating to air quality and climate change. And then it's the parts relating to marine and coastal management, one of which is tapping the economic potential of these sectors under the Oceans Economy Master Plan, which has been in draft for several years now, with the goal being to maximize economic contribution or socio-economic contribution of that sector without compromising the entire marine ecosystem. So the committee then has to oversee the finalization of that master plan. Then there's the part which deals with the fishing sectors and the marine biodiversity, as well as the jobs associated with that will need attention to ensure that they perform to their best potential, one being the recovery of overexploited fisheries resources, but also taking advantage of the fish stocks that are healthy to maximize their benefits and the associated value chain benefits for different stakeholders. And one of them being the small scale fishers, who one of the things that have been raised repeatedly, their exploitation and minimal value return to them as a stakeholder in the fisheries value chain. And then it's the part that deals with the, maybe this one deals with the inland fisheries that will also be part of the oversight issues, which have been identified that they have not received much attention. Most of the attention has been on the marine side. While there's lots of water bodies that have maybe unknown potential for supporting aquaculture as well as supporting capture fisheries. So that is roughly it, but then there's also the part which relates to marine pollution there, as in recent years there has increasing discharge of polluted water that ends up in our coastal waters, either from inland or from coastal waste treatment plants, which is also affecting the status of our beaches, as well as the tourism sector that relies on them. Then it's the part that deals with the regulatory environment and law enforcement, some of which we have touched now, but there's also the part which deals with the mineral and petroleum resources, which has been a responsibility of in legislation, it's a responsibility of Environment Department, but at the operational level, it has been a responsibility of mineral resources. And the problem there had been the lack of compliance with the rules in terms of when decommissioning mining operations and the rehabilitation that is required after that. And this is closely linked to the meeting that the committee will have tomorrow, where the non-implementation or non-enforcement of the decommissioning and closure rules has resulted in the proliferation of illegal mining activities. So that is one part which is ongoing, and it's not only affecting communities like in residential areas, but it's affecting various parts of the ecosystem, whether it's forested areas or in other areas it's closer to wetlands that are being affected, because it's not only the illegal mining per se that is affecting issues, but it's also the waste that is generated from them, because there's various chemicals that are used in the extraction or the purification process of the minerals that are mined illegally that end up in different water bodies or the soil or even the air, affecting even communities. Yeah, but I will leave the details for that to tomorrow's meeting. But in relation to this, there's that issue that is ongoing. And then there is the part that deals with animal welfare. There is progress that is being made from the regulatory side by the department. They have published a few, actually just a few of the gazettes of lately that are relating, one, the voluntary exit, as well as the modalities to try and improve the image of the country relating to these sectors, particularly with animals in captivity. Then there is the issue of wildlife welfare that, from the legislative side of things, the Department of Agriculture has not been pushing. I realized when I was going through some of the paperwork this morning that they actually started talking about this thing during the 2015-2016 financial year in their strategic plan, that they will be looking at amending the existing legislation or tabling a new legislation. So now being 2025, it was actually a mistake last time to say that the whole of last term. It's now actually 2 terms of still talking about this legislation without tabling it. And as the committee know, the draft was requested to be submitted, and they said there was no draft, which means over the past 10 years, they are talking that they are working on a draft. Yeah, so that is one part in terms of animal welfare that we'll need focus on. It also affects various sectors, in particular the stakeholders such as NSPCA, because their work now gets stretched because the instrument from the Department of Agriculture is not being finalized and there is no enforcement. Hence, we are now having issues such as the Madikwe and Mawana and Maloth issues in Mpumalanga, where wildlife the well-being of wildlife is being compromised. And yeah, that is roughly at a high level of it. And the department, the committee on forestry, the committee on environment will be working with the committee on agriculture to push for these gaps to be addressed, and while understanding that the bulk of the responsibility lies with the Department of Agriculture. On environmental programs, there are 2 aspects to this. One is the issue relating to the targets, which these programs have generally been meeting, but the bigger problems had been more on project management that has not been up to scratch, resulting in delayed implementation of these programs or non-compliance with financial prescripts. And then it's the part that relates to the impact on the ecosystem of these programs. And one of them has been that, for example, from the forestry side, state-owned plantations are in bad shape, despite having these programs in existence. On the other side, you have now the increasing size of degraded land and natural resources that are not being rehabilitated at the rate that they are supposed to be. And when you look, for example, at the Working for Water program, where now you have various species that are taking over river systems because either the program is not effective or the way the program is implemented is not having the impact that is desired. Hence, there's now concerns in the farming communities that alien invasives are taking over some agricultural land as well as some water bodies. So those are some of the things in terms of the impacts of these programs that are supposed to, one, either be relooked, and the other one, see if they can have more impact than what is currently happening. It's good and well that targets, or some of the targets, are being met in terms of the women, the youth that are being employed, but if their intended goal was 2-pronged, poverty alleviation as well as improvement of the environment. So on the side of improvement of the environment, that's where there are questions whether these programs are effective. And like one of them is the high levels of littering and illegal dumping that is observed throughout the country, even in metros. And there's other aspects, which is the working on fire, where from their reports, they are effective. think they said it's around 90% where they control their fires. But the concern from Fire Protection Association has been more on the coordination and planning that has somehow been resulting in non-compliance or missing of the objectives, because if there are different objectives, maybe one objective is to assist with fires abroad, while locally there's also a need to assist with fire or fire prevention. You sometimes have those differences, which has been a concern for Fire Protection Association. And then it's also on the fisheries side, where data. One of the working for fisheries was also to help in anti-poaching activities and also fisheries data collection. And it's a mixed bag, but the environmental program is not largely responsible for the anti-poaching activities. That is the core mandate of the department, with the, let me say, the security cluster, if I can put it broadly, because there's the responsibility of the Air Force and the Navy, municipalities, as well as the department. So collectively, under the Ocean, the Maritime Protection and Governance of Operation Pakisa, that's where they have been doing very well. But the anti-poaching initiative has also been there, was generally supposed to be more of tip-offs and just for improving visibility. The question then becomes, was it effective, or is it effective in terms of its purpose for existence? So that is roughly on the environmental programs, one being the effectiveness of achieving objectives of these environmental programs, as well as the other part, which is job creation. Then on biodiversity, this also straddles with other sectors, because, for example, with poaching, it also covers poaching of wildlife and plants, as well as marine fisheries resources. And yeah, of lately, it's the increase killings of vultures and the poaching of cycads, which is now an organized crime. And on the other side of this poaching is the under prosecution of environmental crimes, so where sanctions are negligible. So there is that balance that needs oversight in terms of the terms activities of the committee. And then you have the expansion of wildlife estates that has been planned or that has been ongoing, overseeing whether it's achieving the objectives. So far, there has been mixed results of the different estates, whether it's transfrontier or expansion from land reform, or the buying of private land to expand. Sometimes it's getting from agricultural land or game reserves, whether that is achieving the objectives. It's one of the areas that need to be looked at, particularly where the expansion targets are achieved in terms of declaring protected areas without being provided for with the required funding and the resources in terms of human capacity to ensure that there is enforcement, there is inspections, there's balance between the densities that are there and the carrying capacity of the ecosystem. So yeah, largely it will be to also look during this term whether all declared areas have operational management plans. So in the when there was expansion of marine protected areas, that was found to be one of the areas that were lacking management plans. And there was also a briefing where the conservation estate was not reaching the desired objectives or outcomes throughout the country. And with matters getting worse as you get to provincial and municipal conservation areas. Yeah, I think we have covered a little bit of the illegal harvesting of various resources, but under Operation Pakisa, the different programs within Pakisa, whether it's wildlife, whether it's aquaculture and tourism, small harbors and all those ones, they are an area that needs the oversight of the committee in this term. Then it's waste management. This is one area that the committee has started scratching the surface, but there is the other side of it that still needs to be tackled by the committee. Let me put it broadly, the environmental levies that are being charged, because part of those environmental levies, like your plastic bag levy, where funds are generated but not invested where they are for the purpose that they are supposed to be used for. The same applies with tires. It's money that is generated is not brought back to where it's supposed to be invested. And another area for the committee to also look at is the carbon tax funds that are generated, whether they are getting allocated for their intended purpose. One of their intended purpose was to assist through investment in transitioning to less carbon intensive operation. So that is one area that needs committee's oversight. And then, Chair, that is roughly it on the environmental, on the overview of where issues are at. And now on the strategic plan 7, or maybe Chair, is there maybe an input on?
Okay, yes, I wanted to check that, Clancha, before you move. I wanted to check that before you move. Honorable members, from the first presentation, is there anything that you want to lift or raise? Okay, I don't see any hands. Nhlanhla, you can proceed.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So the strategic objective, these are institutional objective that committees of parliament work under. So committees cannot really or are not empowered to define themselves outside the institutional direction. So which is why it's just important into this section that of the institution. The same applies to the strategic priorities, which are more of the continuation based on the purpose for existence, institutionally derived purpose for the existence of parliament, and part of the constitutional provision there relating to this sector, it's advancing environmental rights. So that is one part that directly links to the functioning of the committee. But Parliament has identified priority plans, and from the priority plans, there are certain overarching issues that affect the committee, or the issues, the oversight issues that the committee can oversee. Some are directly, some are indirectly. So some of the ones that are made in bold are the direct ones, but you also have others which can be arguably be considered to be direct, like access to health. Others can argue that it's actually one of the responsibilities of the committee in terms of the Equality Act areas to oversee. But they are, whether it's direct or indirect, these also cover the functioning area, the functional areas that parliamentary committees have to focus on. I won't dwell much on those ones. And then it's the requirement of looking closely at transferred grants for funds to entities of departments, because some departments have as much as 70% that is being transferred to various entities that Parliament has to oversee, not only focusing on those departments, but also their entities. So this committee has been doing exceptionally good, ensuring that there is oversight on the entities. But in terms of planning, parliamentary committees also should ensure that the planning is considerate of the SMART principles, ensuring that whatever that is planned, outputs and outcomes are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And yeah, I think the other part is on public participation, which was discussed at length to improve that, and what is provided for in terms of legislation and the rules of the institution. Then coming to committee priorities, basically to make the committee to be publicly accessible and incorporating issues from the sector or from different stakeholders. And like the meeting that the committee or that is currently dealing with around elephants, those are issues that were actually brought to the committee's attention from different stakeholders, and they are being considered, and there's more participation in the sector or interaction with the committee because of the openness that it has created. And yeah, one of the things to ensure that there's accountability in the sector, while also scrutinizing the work of the executive. And one of the capacity building and learning activity that the committee is also considering, it's having a study tour or undertaking a study tour, and where there will be comparative lessons that may be considered for the purpose of improving the performance of the institution in its broader sense. Yeah, I think one of the things is being part of the solutions in the environmental sector by not only incorporating lessons from other countries or other sectors, but also being hands-on, which is where environmental projects come in. And some of the environmental projects that the committee has proposed are linked to Section 24 of Advancing Environmental Rights, Section 24 of the Constitution. Yeah, members, memorize this. You'll be hearing a lot of it, and you should be saying a lot of it during this term, because that's the core mandate of the department, which makes the core mandate of the portfolio committee. Okay, there are other issues, but this is at the core of it. There are various pieces of legislation that are supportive of that constitutional provision that are in place, and to a larger extent, the SEMAS, the Specific Environmental Management Act, are the ones that take a center stage, like with the ones now on the forest, on the elephants. The Biodiversity Act is one of those that are responsible for guiding the management of biodiversity, but it's not alone. There are also other supportive pieces of legislation that are falling slightly outside the mandate of the portfolio committee, like the Performing Animals Protection Act, which is under agriculture, the Animal Protection Act, which is also under agriculture. Then there's also Medicines and Other Associated Drugs Act. I think that is under Department of Health. So while conducting the oversight work, the committee also will have to work with other portfolio committees to advance environmental rights. So for the 2024 to 2029, the committee's plan involves, among others, improvement of interdepartmental cooperation and compliance with financial and non-financial prescripts, basically ensuring that there is cleaner audit and efficiencies in service delivery, and improvement of air quality in the priority areas, and a part of the priority will be on improvement of waste management, both industrial and domestic waste management. So that will also include interaction with the National Treasury, since the monies that are derived from these sectors are not fully reinvested into improving these sectors or improving waste management in the country. Then it's the part which has to do with the just transition, where on one part is the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and the transitioning into low carbon economy, while also building a resilient and climate adaptive future, which is supported by investment of finances and infrastructure and technology transfer to enable life to continue thriving in the midst of ongoing climate change. In this instance, the capacity building gap is more pronounced at municipal level, where there is competing priorities which often overlook the need for building resilience, as well as for business continuity considerations among different departments. For example, many departments, you find that there is discussion or there is talks, but there is no programs being implemented for business continuity after a climate disaster, be it on environment, be it on Department of Health, Department of Education, or transport. As you would have seen that some of the roads that are affected by extreme weather events are still not serviceable or restored. The same applies with schools, with clinics, and the associated services that are supposed to be derived from there. So these are some of the issues that, time allowing, the committee will also have to engage the different departments on their climate change adaptation plans, because sectors are supposed to have climate response plans, because climate change affects all sectors. So yeah, it's one of the areas. And the other part is relating to the Forestry Master Plan, which is supposed to be actually at the peak of implementation now, with most of the goals supposed to be reported. I think it was supposed to run until 2025. So this being the last year. So the goals in terms of jobs, investment, improvement of the sector to be competitive domestically and abroad are supposed to be achieved this year. So that's one area. Because it's largely been promises. So that's one area where the committee will have to focus on. Then, yeah, we touched a little bit on Operation Pakisa programs that the committee will have to oversee to ensure that there is progress there. You have your oceans economy, which is supported by the Oceans Economy Master Plan. Or then you have the biodiversity economy, which include, there are some sub-programs within that one. And then the chemicals and waste won't go into their details, but it's one of the areas that will have to be scheduled for oversight, particularly against the intended outcomes, because there's jobs that were promised or that are promised under those programs, as well as the economic contribution and the transformation to ensure that there is capacity within each sector. And yeah, environmental programs, we've covered that one. And we've covered There's one, compliance with the environmental legislation in the mining sector or the lack thereof. That needs to be central to the work of the committee, particularly from those sectors. And yeah, fire protection associated or fire management, we've covered that one. Yeah, I think the other part under biodiversity is the beneficiation schemes that were supposed to be rolled out, but there's also the issues of infighting amongst members of CPAs that affect the functioning of CPAs, as well as the implementation of the beneficiation scheme. The principal one being around Kruger National Park. That is one area that will need to be followed up. And yeah, the management of parks and game reserves, we have covered that one. And related to the implementation of the National Protected Area Expansion Strategy. Yeah, then it's the follow-up and feedback to communities that the committee has visited during oversight visit. Chairperson, that is it under the committee priorities.
Okay, thank you, Nhlanhla. Honorable members, are you happy with the presentation?
So far, so good, Chair, with me.
Thank
Yes,
you.
everything is clear, Chairperson.
Thank you, honorable members. Trying to check now, where are we? Sindawoni ngoku, Nhlanhla. Strategic objectives of the committee.
We are under section 10, basically to say how will the committee try to achieve or monitor things
Sure.
that have been identified as priorities.
Okay.
So under these ones of legislative responsibilities, it will be setting and adhering to legislative timeframes for bills or processing of bills, and as well as ensuring that petitions that are brought to the attention of the committee are processed, including the reporting back to communities, because that's one area that Parliament has identified that has been lacking. Parliamentary committees or Parliament as an institution go to communities, listen to them and disappear and do not provide feedback. But there's also another area to involve communities, which is the use of different media platforms to facilitate both legislative and public involvement on sectoral issues. On this one, in the previous meeting, there was an issue on the gap on the capacity of an officer, a communications officer. So a communication officer has been appointed for the committee, who is Sureshne Gavenda, that will be taking care of the communications aspect of the committee. Also, another thing is that she's also responsible for other portfolio committees, but we have discussed that we'll have to structure a program of some sort based on what the committee has prioritized.
You are breaking, Nhlanhla. Oh, okay, we are fine now.
Okay, and then it's the matter of strengthening oversight and executive accountability. On this one of the indicators is greater improvement of sector stakeholders in the oversight process. And because some of the things that are affecting the environment happen outside the purview of the committee, or the committee is not entirely aware, so then relies on people, stakeholders to assist in bringing those issues to the attention of the committee. And from the committee's operations side, we ensuring that there is tracking and monitoring of committee resolution for implementation of the executive. Chair, can I take a moment? I'll be back in a moment. Apologies.
Sandra? Not sure whether it's me who's losing him or.
Sorry, Chair, I can't hear Nhlanhla. I don't know what's going on.
I think he's asking for a moment. Maybe
Okay.
he's checking for a suitable place with
Yeah,
cover.
because his network is a bit unstable. Okay.
Chairperson?
That's fine. Yes, you are clear now, Nhlanhla.
I am back. It was just the cleaning services. I was hearing the vacuum cleaner more than I can hear myself.
Oh, okay then. Okay.
So then it's where was I? Yeah, tracking and monitoring of committee resolutions. And then the other aspect, it's better coordination of oversight activities, particularly activities of issues that straddle committees. Excuse me. For example, the issues on mining and compliance with environmental legislation. So one of the approaches, which is maybe this one is because it's triggered by a petition, but it still also forms part of the oversight work, because it's not going to, the responses of the committees is not only going to be responding to the petitioners, but also trying to push for better coordination and implementation of cross-cutting legislation, such as in the illegal mining area, where you have environment being affected, you have home affairs being affected, some of these ones, you have youth and women being affected. So that is one area of coordination that is expected of committees to work together on, not just at the National Assembly level, but also including the NCOP, as well as provincial legislators and municipal councils. And yeah, one is also the provision of research to committees and the use of that information for oversight purpose. And then the other aspect has to do with the monitoring and evaluation of the plans that or the goals for the entire 7th administration as articulated under the medium-term development plan. So with this one, we have contributions from the department that have been identified as a contribution to the MTDP that the committee will be overseeing. And of course, it's the joint briefings or oversight visits that are expected to be done by committees to encourage greater interdepartmental, but it's also inter-committee cooperation, not just at the national level, but in the different spheres of government. And of course, the use of media platforms is expected to be rolled out in every activity of the committee, whether it's legislative, whether it's public participation, or general oversight and accountability, including study tours and capacity building. So we have covered this one of enhancing public participation. Maybe we covered one part which deals with the accessibility as well as enabling interaction. This one, it also links to the availing of information in different formats. In the other public participation process, the committee was found wanting of conducting public hearings where either the one local language, there were no copies either in one of the local languages, and there were no copies in Braille format. So those are some of the things that have been raised with other arms of the institution, departments in the institution, so that there is no repeat of these shortcomings, including the advanced work that is supposed to be done, such as workshops and mobilization. And yeah, we've already covered these ones of collaborations with provincial legislatures, as well as providing feedback or creating that feedback mechanism to the different stakeholders. For example, with this one, the meetings around animal welfare, you find that the stakeholders, one of the stakeholders is NSPCA. The committee creates that space as well as the feedback mechanism so that they are all aware of where things are. And under increased member capacity building, yeah, I think that one was covered at length about the workshops and courses that are available and the expectation that members will attend those ones. And then it's also the programs that will be contributing towards institutional performance. In our instance, it will be the environmental programs such as the cleanups that the committee has identified, as well as the planting of trees, which will be discussed at slightly greater length in the annual performance plan. But basically, it's more on scheduling when it goes to the annual performance plan, when is what supposed or proposed to happen. So given the sometimes frequent changes in the parliamentary program, some of these plans will likely be affected. And it's just one thing to be kept in mind. Then it's the aspect relating to international engagements or international participation, that when an instrument is tabled, the committee will process it and report to the House, and as well as ensuring that there is constant monitoring in the form of briefings on the implementation of international instruments that have been agreed to by the country or which we are party to. There are many, so it's unlikely or impossible to get briefings on all of them. So there are some prioritized pieces of these instruments that the committee can focus on. And like in this instance, the ones that are linked to frequent meetings and subject to updates regularly have to do with the climate change, biodiversity, and combating desertification. But then there's also other instruments linked to them, such as the Paris Agreement. And the Paris Agreement, the aspects that we have covered under climate change and equality relates to that, because with South Africa committing to just transition under the Paris Agreement, it means that the committee has to oversee that there is justice in the transition, instead of leaving communities out and or worsening their livelihoods because of transitioning to a less carbon intensive economy. And when we look at the spread now of these identified priorities over the next 5 years, oh, I've just remembered, Chair, make a note on this one. Last, when we spoke on the strategic plan, during the workshop, there was a tabled proposal to follow the executive legislation in terms of NEMLA that was tabled, but it was not seconded in the committee. So I think it was maybe it got derailed when I was explaining of the public participation process that unfolded. Then we did not get back to it to get a seconder. So that will need to be retabled, that motion, retabled and get a seconder towards, because it was a committee's discussion point in that meeting. Back to this presentation, on the objective of processing of tabled legislation, given that decision, the timeline of the committee will rely on the timeline of the Department of Tabling legislation. So based on their program, we'll then populated or revised this table here of what will happen at which point. And given the uncertainty around the exact time of tabling, this is the proposed spread of the targets this period. Some bills, depending on their complexities, the consultative and processing period may be shorter, while others you find that there's high interest, which may also lengthen the consultative process or the processing duration. So currently, these are based on the tabling that the department has proposed on this legislation. And NEMLA, they promise that in next financial year, it will be brought to Parliament. And we're not sure. Sometimes they say it will be brought in the latter part of the financial year, which sometimes maybe is December or around Christmas. I think there are some pieces of legislation that they tabled around Christmas when nobody was around. But anyway, so meaning that things are most likely to happen from the briefings and public participation in the following financial year. Then you have the Aquaculture Development Bill, which is also scheduled for tabling the latter part of next year. Then you have the NEMLA, which is also there. The ones that are having a little bit of uncertainties is this World Heritage Convention Amendment Bill, and depending on the extent of the amendments there, it will be processed from around this time. If it's tabled on the latter part of this financial year, then the committee is likely to start working on this. What is this? 27, 28, 29 financial year. And yeah, with the hope that before Parliament rises, these pieces of legislation will be finalized. And sometimes what happens is that some pieces of legislation get prioritized above others, then meaning that the committee as well has to reorganize its schedule to process the legislation that either the institution or the executive request that they be prioritized. These ones that are planned to be tabled in the latter part, I don't know, particularly when briefings are likely going to happen on the election year, they are likely to lapse. And then we move to monitoring. I think this is more of the regular activities of the committee, ensuring that annual performance plans of the departments are tabled, the annual reports are tabled on time and also considered on time, as well as the briefings on quarterly reports. So those ones become more of standard. It's just that now there's an additional requirement on committees to have reports associated with these activities. Excuse me, which also eats in the time available for the plan of the committee, because there needs to be time for processing all the reports, whether it's budget-related reports. For example, on this one on budget, this is standard. but it also relies on when Parliament agrees to finalize the consideration of a national budget. And yeah, I think this year was just a unique year, which resulted in the timelines being pushed. So yeah, these ones are already covered, the quarterly reports. The same applies with the oversight reports that will be undertaken by the committee, that those oversight reports are adopted in the committee, debated and tabled in the National Assembly, or tabled and debated in the National Assembly. And then it's the briefings, yeah, that the committee holds. And then it's basically the joint meetings on cross-cutting issues or issues that affect more than one portfolio committee. So here we have the briefings with the Department of Agriculture on animal welfare, and we'll also have a briefing with Minerals and Petroleum Resources on matters relating to the mining sector. And the other one relates to environmental crimes, where the committee felt strongly around the need of amendments of sanctions, as well as the enforcement from like in the justice system, because some of the endangered species, for example, although they are not considered at the same level as killing a human being, you find that the loss of those species move them closer to extinction. And you find that the sanctions related to crimes related to either poaching of those species is not a deterrent. So those are some of the discussions that the committee may need to have with the other committees, as well as with the other departments that are linked to that sector, because there's also the expectation that there should be ongoing capacity building between the department and the judges, so that there is a similar understanding on the impacts of sanctions that are meted in courts vis-a-vis the impact that some of these species have. For example, rhino populations affect the revenue that is generated by the tourism sector, particularly when you look at the wildlife economy. So when sanctions for rhino on poaching are not deterrent, effectively incentivize the poaching, which inadvertently affect the sectors that rely on the existence of the species that drive some of these sectors. Yeah, then is the part related to COCTA, as well as SALGA on the fire management that the committee will need to have, one relating to harmonization of legislation or the plans around fire management. And I think with COCTA, it will also include maybe some other time around the plans on climate adaptation and building resilience in communities in line with the Climate Change Act. The Climate Change Act has a section that calls for the establishment of forums that will coordinate responses, as well as ensuring that everybody knows what needs to happen when there is a disaster. To be inclusive. For example, what has been happening is that each time when there's a disaster, there are certain groups that are more vulnerable or that get left behind, that like people who are living with disabilities. And sometimes people who are elderly, because when it's time for people to run away, whether because of fire or because of floods, it can easily become everyone for him or herself, which then means other groups or vulnerable groups of society become at higher risk, including children. Then it's the aspect relating to members' capacity building. So the ultimate goal of the institution is to have 80% of members attending a capacity building program in that year. And currently, just to have about 50% of the members attending a capacity building program. The committee has been doing exceptional. Actually, the committee has exceeded that 80% you've been attending these capacity building initiatives. So we don't have to worry about that one. You already have a credit there. And then it's this one on public awareness, basically an environmental project that the committee will be implementing. So for the 25-26 financial year is the cleanup project, Robben Island, and then in the next financial year, so far the proposed one is to have 4 of these environmental projects implemented, which include planting of indigenous trees, supporting a vegetable garden, a township cleanup, or a beach cleanup. And these can be actually achieved back to back, but it's just a matter of maybe when the committee will be looking at how and which ones will be and how they will be spread, be it like, for example, geographically, that okay, we're going to be planting trees in these communities and in that province or in those provinces, but that will be done a little bit clearer as the committee moves into reviewing the annual performance plan of the 2026-2027 financial year. The agreement in the committee was that while there is a minimum threshold set, it won't be a problem to implement more of this time allowing. Okay, then this one is about creating space for members of the public in the legislative and other processes of parliament. So now there are 2 petitions before the committee, one which is scheduled for tomorrow, this one, by Ms. Clark. And then the other one, tentatively set for the end of the month, is this petition by Mr. Gregory. Then from next financial year, there's this suggested feedback and could also be an oversight on the petition that was brought before the committee some few years back. But it was more directed to the chairperson, but the chairperson then invited other members to go and be part of it. But the long and short of it is that the waste treatment plant were in such a poor state that the river system in the Mfuleni area, the Vaal River there, was actually contaminated, and the community streets were also affected by the sewage spills. So there were undertakings that were made there by the municipality and the province to clean up the situation. But on that, there has not been a follow-up from Parliament to ensure that the situation has improved. So that is one part that can be used as a follow-up as well as feedback. And then, yeah, this one, it's almost obvious that there will be reports linked to all bills that are tabled before the portfolio committee, particularly those that have undergone public participation. So this is tentative was linked or relies on the tabling date and the finalization of those bills. So yeah, basically a report speaking to the processing and public participation on each bill. And then it's stakeholder engagement. On this stakeholder engagement, and the minimum target there that has been set is 2, which can either be physical, virtually, or hybrid meeting. And then move to ratification. It's almost the same thing. It depends on when an instrument is brought to the committee for processing in terms of ratification. But other than that, the committee will be holding its briefings on the implementation of these instruments at a domestic level. And one of these briefings is just before the COP30 delegation travel, where the meeting will be covering the outcomes from the previous climate COP, the previous biodiversity COP, and the previous desertification COP, and going forward on the country's position on how the country plans to approach its negotiations, as well as what is being planned. For example, now countries are supposed to be revising their nationally determined contributions. Usually the deadline was for early this year, which is around February, but that most countries have missed that deadline. So it has been sent forward to September. I think it's around September, while other countries have undertaken to table their revised NDCs before COP30 sits. So by now, it should be at the peak of consultations and revisions of the NDCs. South Africa is also revising. I think the department has been doing the public consultations in different areas to get views from the public on or input from the public on the proposed draft. Yeah. Then the other one, it's basically tabling reports each time when the committee participate in international meetings. The deadline so far, based on the ones that can be predicted, like for example, with climate COPs, they are in November almost every year. And then the deadline for submission of a report to PGIR, it's February. So generally, when committees return from COPs, it's the end of November, then Parliament rises and only return at the end of January, which means the time becomes slightly limited for committees to consider. Hence, February is set to be the timeline. Excuse me. But there may be other events where the committee is deployed to attend, and then the reports will be tabled accordingly. And yeah, then it's a matter of conducting a study tour, which will be tentatively in the 26-27 financial year, considering that the department promises a lot of pieces of legislation in the same year, because once those pieces of legislation are tabled will minimize or eliminate chances of the approval of a study tour. So hence, the thinking is to have a study tour in the next financial year, which means the preparatory work will be starting soon. Soon means in the 2025, the latter part of 2025-26 financial year. Then, part 12, Chairperson.
Kandla?
Oh, I'm still in the meeting.
Yeah, we're still in the meeting, but can you try and summarize, Kandla? Remember, there's also a sitting today.
We are done, Chair, because this part there's no changes. It's effectively incorporation of the proposed solution on the irregular parliamentary terms, and then this one basically to say during this whole term and the number of promised pieces of legislation, the committee will need at least 106 million rand to conduct its business in line with its mandate. And there's roughly how the monies will be broken. Basically, a bulk of it will be on public participation through, like in the processing of legislation. And then, yeah, this is it, Chair. Because on the APP is effectively the same thing, except that it's now focusing just on one financial year and then spreading that over the 4 quarters of the year. You want me, Chair, to open that one?
Which one?
Or the annual performance plan, or we first finalize this one?
Okay. Just finalize that one, Kandla, briefly, and then, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Kandla?
Chair?
Oh, you are waiting for us to adopt this one?
No, I think I will also go through the other one, then just have one adoption for both of them, unless there's input that members have on this one.
Okay. Members? Do you have any inputs? Oh, so far so good.
All right.
I'm covered on my side.
Okay, Honorable Makasa, I see your hand.
Chair, at this point, I would want to support Honorable Kize, and also appreciating the work done by Nhlanhla in terms of capturing all that we were discussing on that day of the workshop. And he has managed to capture and dot down all that we have said. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Honorable Mkiza, I did not capture you.
Sorry, Honorable Chairperson, I was just saying I'm covered this side. Thank you.
Oh, okay. No, thank you. Nhlanhla, you can move.
Oh,
okay. Honorable Managa.
thank you so much, Chair. I'm also covered. Everything that we discussed, they captured them. Thank you so much, the aid team, for the great job.
Okay. Can I then propose that we move and adopt this one, honorable members? This report. Can I see hands for your adoption? Honorable Managa, followed by Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I raised my hand to adopt the presentation made by our content advisor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Managa. Honorable Kumalo.
Thank you very much, Chair. I second Honorable Manaka with the adoption of this APP. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Nhlanhla, can we then move to the other one?
Chair, maybe while at this, while I still remember, it's that motion of the committee to take the decision to follow the executive bill instead of a committee bill. That is the
I
one that
see the-
needs to be.
Okay, I see the hand of Honorable Kumalo.
Now, is a legal head, Chair.
Okay,
Let me lower it.
okay. Nhlanhla, can you repeat what you have raised on this issue of the bill?
Okay. In the strategic planning meeting that the committee had, there was a move for on day one, there was a proposal for following, because there were two suggestions. One, in terms of addressing the legislative lacuna, was either tabling a committee bill, which the Parliamentary Legal Service was going to assist the committee on, or else following the legislative process being led by the department, where an executive bill was going to be tabled. The discussion of the meeting was generally leaning towards supporting the move of where the department will be leading the tabling of the executive bill, given that it had already done the groundwork consulting with stakeholders. Then there was a motion tabled that the committee will adopt the process of following or allowing the department to table an executive bill. However, there was the committee did not get to a point of having someone seconding that motion, because there was a need to explain how the public participation shortcomings, which resulted in the Constitutional Court finding Parliament on the wrong side, how that will be resolved. So after explaining that, the committee did not get back to finalizing the proposal for adopting the executive-led amendment. So given that there was no one that seconded it, it means that it was not duly adopted as the position of the committee. So my proposal is that it needs to be retabled in the committee and adopted properly.
Okay. Honorable members, can you have a bite on what Nhlanhla has raised?
Chair, Honorable De Block had moved, so there was basically a seconder that was, unless maybe the whole thing is restarted properly.
Remember, Nhlanhla, we agreed as the committee that we will proceed with the NEMLA amendment bill instead of formulating a new committee bill. So I agree with you that there was a move up by Honorable De Block, then we needed a second. So you are requesting for that, so we second it officially.
Yes, just to finalize properly the whole process,
okay.
Because currently it does not really stand as the committee's decision, because it was not seconded.
Okay, can we then, honorable members, get a seconder on what the committee had agreed on, and that was moved by Honorable de Block. That as the committee, we agreed that we are going to process the NEMLA amendment bill instead of formulating a new committee bill. Can I get a seconder on that? Or may I request to Honorable de Block as the person who moved to do that, and then we get a seconder. Honorable de Block?
Certainly, Chair. I'll repeat what I said. I think since the executive has started the process already and has the in-house capacity, I think we let them draft the bill, and we have our oversight role in the development of that bill to ensure that it's effective. So I move as such. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable de Block. Honorable Makasi?
Thank you, Chair. I therefore support Honorable de Block.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Then it is supported, Honorable Tlantla. Then it will be recorded as such.
All right. So then we are moving to the annual performance plan. Is the okay. For the 25-26 financial year, effectively there is no bill that is before the committee or promised to be tabled. So that one will remain empty, that part relating to legislation. And the budget vote has already been done. Was scheduled for the first quarter of the financial year. And then it's the one on budget review of the annual report. This will be happening now in October, so it's scheduled for the third quarter. And then it's the quarterly report, the briefings, and these have already happened. And then it's oversight visits. They are upcoming. It's coming next month. And the other one is likely to happen in February. In terms of priority areas, that's what the committees allocated. Here, hold it back here. All right. Then it's committee meetings. Committee meetings roughly will be meeting every week, and additional meetings will also be attended as and when they become organized, such as the joint meetings. And these are the suggested, or the ones that this one's already happened. This one is happening this week, and the other one likely to happen on the last week of this month. And we're still in negotiation with the officials from police to see if we can find a common slot, and that one is there in red. And then it's okay once there is confirmation on their availability, because they also have quite a number of issues that they are dealing with. These ones are ongoing. The attendance of training or capacity building programs for this financial year, given that it's 50%. I think the committee is already in distinction performance here. And then in the last quarter of this financial year, the committee should have done this Robben Island cleanup. And then it's the petitions. Yeah. And for now, the briefings are going to be held in this quarter on these two petitions. And there may be other follow-up meetings, but there will be a need for a report that will be combining all the committees involved. There is no indication as yet from the department that they will be bringing back this amendment of the Nairobi Convention. So that's why it's not included there. So although it was tabled in the previous, no, this one is supposed to come in here. It was tabled in that period, but not finalized. So hence there's nothing here. It was supposed to be finalized in this new administration, but there's no talk of it yet. And then there's the participation on international forum. This one will be happening now in November. So the report will be tabled in the third quarter of that financial year, of the 25-26 financial year, by February, the latest. And yeah, that is it, Chair. Just need to migrate the other solutions to here. The budget remains unchanged as proposed in the other 5-year budget proposal, except that here it's slightly the breakdown of how things will unfold. The costs for COP have not yet been finalized because they still awaiting confirmation from the agents across the ocean. They, yeah, a little bit inefficient. It has never happened that logistics take this long. So this is one of those rare times where we go closer to a month before traveling, where there's still uncertainty, where there's still no political approval, because without the quotations from the different agents, then there can't be a political approval. So although members are registered, but now we are stuck in terms of accommodation, ground transport, and meals. Chairperson, that is it. I will just change the colors here, and then roughly that is, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nhlanhla. I think that was the last one before the minutes, ne?
Yeah, this is the last one, Chair.
This is the last one, and then yeah. Can members then move for the adoption of these reports? Can I get a hand? Before we move to the minutes, honorable members, can we then, Honorable Makasi, followed by Honorable Mkiza.
Chair, thank you very much. And I would like to adopt the report presented by Nhlanhla on the focus on the budget for the program that was presented. It is a true reflection of what we've discussed. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Honorable Mkiza.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I second Honorable Makasi. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mkize. Can we then move to our last item according to the agenda, minutes, and then we'll adopt the minutes.
Chair, we forgot the third quarter and fourth quarterly report and the workshop report.
Okay.
And then we have one set of minutes, but that one should be quick. Third quarter.
Sure.
Yes, I'll come for the workshop report, which is a summary of what you've presented in last week's minutes. Thank you.
I can just go through because I believe that members went through the reports. If there's anything that they would like to highlight,
Okay, 1 second, Chair.
Or should I start with the workshop summary report, Chair, and then I can come
yes,
again for the fourth quarter,
yes,
just to
yes,
save
Chief.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, members, this is the draft committee report on the two-day workshop that we had on the 2nd and 3rd of September. I'll go briefly, Chair. This is the introduction, why the workshop was convened, and the members that attended, the committee support staff, Parliamentary Legal Services Unit, the officials from the various departments that were invited, or the departments that were invited during the workshop, Chair. And then these are the strategic priorities for the 7th Parliament: strengthening oversight, enhancing legislative processes, improving public appointment process, but we're not responsible for that, but we are responsible for improving international engagement. And then the committee strategic planning and budget workshop, this is what day one focused on. We had the opening remarks by the chair and the deputy ministers. And thereafter, we were taken through by various officials from from AGSA. This is the summary of their presentation. And then this was followed by DPME's presentation, Chair. Also their summary of the presentation. And their presentation was followed by legal services. And that's a summary. And lastly, the department chair took members through their legislative priorities for the 7th administration. And then committee deliberations, members, this is what they highlighted during the discussions. Oh, members will guide me if they want to add. My apologies, Chair. I'm going fast.
Continue here. I will then
Oh,
ask the
okay.
members if anything
Oh,
that
all
they
right.
think it was left here.
Oh, okay. All right. Chair, those were the discussions. And then on sandparks and sandby, and then cross-cutting issues. And then day two, Landers took members to the draft strat plan, performance plan, and the budget. And then those are the discussions for day two, Chair. Committee resolutions. And then, Chair, that's the end of the summary.
Thank you, Chi. Members, is there anything that you feel that it was left from the report? Or it is the true reflection of what happened for the 2 days, Honorable Diplock?
Yes, Chairperson, I find it quite egregious that the A team has left out the point at which you gave me a new name.
Yes, shower.
I'm just joking, Chair. I'd like to move that we adopt. I'm happy with these. Thank you.
Thank you, Chawe. Can I note a seconder? On the adoption, can I get a hand for seconder? Honorable Makasi.
Thank you, Chair. I second.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Report has been adopted. Hlanhla, can
Thank you,
you?
members.
Thank you, Chief. Hlanhla, can you briefly go through the quarterly report?
All right, Chair. One second. All right, this is the shortened version of the annual, not annual man, quarterly report, quarter 3 and quarter 4 briefings that the committee had with the department and its entities. And yeah, all 6 entities appeared before the committee. And although the department appeared last this time, but the long and short of it is that Minister George led the department when they appeared before the committee on the 18th of July. Minister Swartz led the department when the entities on the 7th of July, while Honorable Singh led the appearance of the department and its entities, in particular Source and Sound Parks, on the 1st of July. And the board members were also present. And the committee, the presentation from the department was led by Honor Mem Chabalala and Mr. Pelemani Simoli from Fisheries, and the summary of the discussion and performance is also there. Then on staff call, the chairperson, Professor Nesamvuni, led the board, and the summary of the presentation is as reflected there. Sanbi was led by the Deputy Chairperson, Ms. Ferguson, and Shoni, or Mr. Munzezi, the CEO, went into the details of the performance of Sanbi. Esmangaliso Nkositembe, the Chairperson, led the Esmangaliso team, where the acting CEO, Estembe, led the details of their performance and financial expenditure. Ms. Daya, the chairperson of SOS, accompanied by the CE, Mr. Abada, they detailed the performance of SOS and their financial expenditure, while Ms. Yako, the chairperson of Sun Parks, with Ms. Selo, the CE, that went to the details and also responded to the questions of members. The members raised several questions and observations that are summarized under section 4 of this report. And section 5 of this report is condensing the recommendations that the members made based on the discussions. And it was section 6, which is the conclusion for the report to be noted. Chair, back to you.
Thank you, Hlanhla. Honorable members, that is the report, the quarterly report. Can I get a mover for the adoption of the report in the second? Honorable Kumalo.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I move for the adoption of this quarterly report as presented by the content advisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Can I get a second?
I support, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Makasi. Can we then move to the minutes, Chief, briefly?
Chair, These are the draft minutes of last week's meeting, where we were briefed on the concerns around the West Coast and National Park, as well as the Table Mountain. So that was our agenda, Chair. The attendance by members, officials supporting the committee, chairpersons opening and welcoming. Apologies. Adoption of the agenda and the overview by the two deputy ministers, Chair, just a summary there. And then, Chair, after that, the Chief Jordan made a brief input. Chief Jordan from the West Coast, Cocoa tribe. Then followed by the SENPAC's board chairperson and the CEO. That's a summary of their presentation. Discussions by members. Continuation of discussions. Continuation of discussions and responses by SENPAC's chair. And the committee resolutions on number 6. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Q. Before I move, I get hands. May I check with you if the sandbags have sent already the responses?
No,
See,
Chair. They
we have
didn't.
given
Sorry to
them a time
interject.
frame.
Yeah, there was another additional information that I received from the complainants. So I forwarded it there. I forwarded those complaints to SENPACs. So I'm expecting the responses tomorrow.
Oh, okay. No, because
So they have not submitted, yeah.
okay. No. It's fine then, because remember we had given them time frame of
Monday.
the 15th. Okay,
Yes.
so you said you had other additional information
Yes, it
on the
added, yes.
complainants.
Yeah.
So we have extended now their time frame for responses for tomorrow, the
Yes.
17th. Okay.
Yes, because from the West Coast, there are different tribes under the leadership of different chiefs. So some of them only heard later because we only communicated with Mr. Jordan that complained to Parliament. So others
Yes.
heard that there was that meeting. So they've since forwarded their complaints as well. So that's what I sent to them, Parks, yes.
No, it's fine then. And noted. Honorable members, those are the minutes. Can I then get a mover for the adoption of the minutes and the second? Honorable members, okay. Honorable Diplock, I see your hand, Chawa.
Thank you, Chairperson. I will move for the adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Diplock. May I get a second? Honorable Honorable Kumalo?
I do second, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, sorry for that. Okay, thank you, Honorable Kumalo. Thank you very much, honorable members. Here, I believe that this was the last item for on our agenda.
Yes,
Oh,
Chair, but
okay.
we've got announcements for tomorrow's meeting and Thursday.
Okay, do the announcement, then I will just close the meeting officially after the announcements.
All right, Chair. So tomorrow we have a joint meeting with the PCs on police and minerals. The meeting will start at 9 o'clock. It's going to be a virtual meeting. They've shared the presentation and the link. So I will forward it to members after this meeting. So the petition chair was referred to the PC on police. And then we were also mentioned as the seconders, or, so police, that's why police is hosting the meeting. And then on Thursday, because there's caucus that is starting at 10, so I'm proposing that we start our meeting with the Northwest from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So I need to apply to House Chair if members agree, because Thursday is not a committee slot. So if we can have our meeting between 8 and 10, NSPCA has confirmed they are available, and Northwest, they are available between 8 and 10 on Thursday. Those are the two announcements, Chair. I'll be guided by members.
Okay. No, Chi, with Thursday meeting, we are fine, 8 o'clock. I don't think members will have a problem because this is a virtual meeting. It's not a physical meeting. Then for tomorrow's meeting, you said you are going to share the report
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
Can we then be assisted by Unhlanhla so that he can pick things that are related to our committee and then advise us through a written submission on how do we handle the tomorrow's meeting with regards to the issues that will be raised that are related to our portfolio committee.
Okay, all right, Chair. But the petitioner has not submitted her presentation. We only have one presentation from police. But as soon as it's available, I will also share it with members. But Nhlanhla, I don't know if you want to add.
Nhlanhla?
Yes, Chair. I think since our committee is more of secondary, we can prepare the briefing information that relates to our sector, but largely it has to do with illegal mining and the lack of enforcement of one, legislation under Home Affairs and legislation under the police, which then affects the environment.
Okay.
So we'll just put together that mini background. I think the petitioner is the one that will likely go into the details of the extent of the damage or the impact of this illegal mining, because we are not really privy to the details of the environmental damage, but we just know that there is an environment that gets affected negatively wherever there is illegal mining.
Okay. No, it's fine. So upon you receiving the report from you've received it from the police, and then it's from the petitioner, can you then lift those things or issues that will be relating to our sector so that we be prepared for tomorrow and not found wanting?
All right, Chair.
Okay, then you will share those.
I think we'll likely do a preemptive background issue, because we can't currently estimate when they will be presenting or submitting their reports. Just in case they don't maybe submit on time, okay, at least there will be background.
No, it's fine then. Thank you very much, the A team, and to the members who attended the meeting. I am going to take upon me, honorable members, the issue of Northwest. I'm going to contact the MEC of Northwest so that they can comply on the resolutions that are taken by this portfolio committee. That one, I will take it upon me. With those few words, honorable members, let me thank all of you for attending the meeting and our officials for all the reports that they have presented. Thank you very much, and we had such a fruitful and informative meeting. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Chair.
Have a lovely day.
Nkosi Sihlalo.